Tarawari Wara Tiri Karera. I will be making a series of educational videos, taking you into a journey into the world of historical intergenerational trauma. First, we will be discussing, well, what is it? And the second thing we'll be discussing is how it's measured in research. And the third thing we will discuss is how this concept is applied to human beings. So what is historical intergenerational trauma? It has many names. It's known as intergenerational guilt, intergenerational grief and bereavement, post-traumatic slave syndrome, and cultural trauma, just to name a few.
Epigenetic trauma is a traumatic memory passed from one being to another. It happens in much the same way as spots or hair color, through epigenetic markers on the gene. While it may sound a little hippy-dippy woo-woo, that's not actually the case. There's research proving this phenomenon in multiple fields of study, from pets to people. Scientists figured out that a trauma to a mouse mommy was passed on even to her grandchildren. They checked and found the same was true for mouse daddies and their babies as well. They checked this by exposing mice to a floral scent while frightening them. The grand mice showed fear when exposed to that same scent. The fear was passed down. If you have a fear of something, even though you don't know why, you're likely experiencing the results of an epigenetic memory.
All I knew was that we were different, that I was different. I didn't exactly know why.
Her parents were Jewish, born in Germany, but after Hitler came to power, their families fled. Sonneberg's parents were just children, but carried the traumas of Nazi oppression throughout their lives.
My mother, from the time she was 3 on, from my father, from the time he was 5 or 6 years old, he was subjected to the painful existence in Germany.
Despite her own comfortable upbringing here in the U.S., Sonneberg privately struggled for years with anxiety and stress. And while she couldn't prove it, she believed it was somehow linked to her parents' traumatic childhoods.
Having discussed this with many of my friends who come from similar backgrounds, it seems to be consistent in most of us. There were definitely challenges that quote-unquote American kids didn't seem to have experienced.
Even though you weren't there.
Exactly. That's the amazing part of it.
Now, a new study published this month in the scientific journal Biological Psychiatry bolsters Sonneberg's belief that she experienced the after effects of her parents' trauma. Dr. Rachel Yehuda, director of Mount Sinai's Traumatic Stress Studies Division, led the study. Her team interviewed and drew blood from 32 sets of survivors and their children, focusing on a gene called FKBP5.
We already know that this is a gene that contributes to risk for depression and post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yehuda noticed a pattern among the Holocaust survivors called an epigenetic change. Not a change in the gene itself, but rather a change in a chemical marker attached to it.
And when we looked at their own children, their children also had an epigenetic change in the same spot on a stress-related gene.
What does that suggest?
Well, in the first generation, in the Holocaust survivor, it suggests that there has been an adaptation or a response to a horrendous environmental event. And in the second generation, it suggests that there has also been a response of the offspring to this parental trauma.
These videos provide anecdotal evidence that measures how trauma moves from one generation to the next. It's kind of like taking a stone and you dropping it into a pond, and what it does, it creates these ripples. And so what we're looking at are intergenerational ripples that are moving from one generation to the next. It has implications for Māori and Indigenous peoples who have been through cataclysmic events. And so it looks at how that those ripples ripple in each generation, providing contributing factors to deficit statistics in significant ways. And we'll be looking at that type of evidence in the next series of videos. Kia ora.